Salute everyone. Welcome to Knicks Buzz, a special edition March Madness watch list preview with the founder of ShotQuality.com. Welcome back, Simon GERSZBERG. Appreciate you coming on.
Of course, I appreciate being asked to come back. I didn't think I would after last time.
No, it was a great show. On that note, the audience really enjoyed your first visit. The show had a lot of views, and a good time, I would say, to revisit the March Madness tournament coming up and the Knicks prospects to look out for. And no better person to have than yourself. Come on.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, for the viewers that may not have seen our first show, can you introduce yourself again and just tell us what it is that you do?
Absolutely. So, my name is Simon GERSZBERG. I'm the founder and CEO of ShotQuality, which is a basketball analytics service, which, as from the name, quantifies the quality of shots for teams, coaches, and also bettors as well. And a lot of this data that we have stored up, figuring out who's taking good shots, who's taking bad shots, is really valuable for the draft process, obviously. So a lot to go through with potential Knicks fits and just general shot quality statistics.
Yeah, absolutely. And some exciting news for shot quality. Last week it was featured on CBS. Right, how did that go?
It went pretty well, yeah. Yeah, the CBS Sports broadcast. We actually have another game next Thursday. It's a week from today. So I'm flying to Utah for that game, which I'm really excited for.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Great to hear. And like we said last time, it's only growing. Shot quality. Follow that. You see the Twitter handle shot_quality as well. We appreciate everyone the love, and please hit the like button for Nick's Buzz. And we've got lots to cover today. Um, and let's start with the class. We'll just touch on briefly again. Yeah, Simon, the how would you describe this year's draft class? In a couple of sentences.
I'd say compared to other years, it's just extremely deep. I think I said this last time. I just feel like from pick, let's just say after you get like out of the top tier guys, which is probably like 1 through 5, 1 through 6, depending on your preferences, obviously, I'd say like let's just say like 7 from 40 is like the deepest I remember it being in so long. Like there are just so many guys you could find that are just like on the outskirts of big boards, like guys like Bryce McGowens, who I talked about a lot last time, Sebron on NC State. Uh, there's just so many guys that I feel like have so much potential to contribute on an NBA team, more so than other years for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we don't really know whether Tom Thibodeau will be here and what the New York Knicks MO will be this summer. It's going to be a huge summer, and the New York Knicks have been very active on draft night as well, Simon. So I could see them, you know, making maneuvering, and we are in the ninth selection right now, and with a lot of tough games coming up, the New York Knicks could find themselves in a much higher draft position. We have all our assets and all our picks moving forward. First round pick this season, 2 first round picks next season as well. So yeah, the New York Knicks will be pretty active.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think they need to be at this point. It's coming pretty close to desperation time, for sure.
Yeah, no. Everyone that doesn't know, Simon's a passionate Knicks fan as well. It's in his blood with your family roots. Um, but
I
yeah,
got my mellow jersey on right now.
yeah, it looks clean. um, yeah. So with that said, with the Knicks in mind, March Madness right around the corner. In my opinion, the Knicks could use help at point guard, at center. Possibly the Mitch situation, and at wing as well. They swung the trade for Cam Reddish as well. But would you agree with those needs?
Yeah, I mean, I do 100% agree. It's just like at this point, I feel like the needs are just so significant. Um, Maybe not as significant as like 3 years ago, like the the abyss the Knicks were in. But it just feels like somewhat. I don't want to say hopeless, but it's just like I feel like we need so much and just so much to look up to in Eastern
Mhm.
Conference right now. There's just so much young talent. Like even like teams that like I thought would be bad for like years to come, like the Cavs are now up and coming. Um, it's just like it's a little demoralizing. I feel like.
Yeah, look, I will say, the Knicks do have some young talent. It's just that developing them should be the
Yes,
focus too. You know,
100%. Yeah,
we're trying to win games each and every day, which was fine before the trade deadline, but now let's see how they handle that situation with Cam Reddish, with Quentin Grimes, our boy Deuce McBride, getting reps in the G League, but we feel like he should be getting serious minutes with the big club as well. But
absolutely.
yeah, in terms of those positions we pointed out of need, yeah, we have young players in all of those positions. But like I said, Mitchell Robinson, yeah, he's the great unknown as well. It's a guard and a wing heavy draft class, but there are some big man prospects that we'll talk about, yeah, as well. Um, so I guess starting with the with the tournament coming up, Knicks fans tuning in, putting their scouting hats on. Um, who should they put on their watch lists?
One guy who I think is a really intriguing fit for the Knicks is Bennedict Mathurin. I always mispronounce his name. He's from Arizona, the wing. Um,
Hmm.
he is an incredible. He's just like a good, solid off-ball player that has like tidbits of shot creation, self-creation, like in him. Doesn't take any bad shots, like in Tommy Lloyd's offense at Arizona. He's just pretty much like in the perfect role for his skill set, which wasn't as much last year. Before Tommy came in. Yeah, as you can see on this chart, he's in the 90th percentile off ball efficiency based off the quality of shots he gets off the ball, 81st percentile in shot selection, and 80th percentile in shot making. He's just so overall like a really good player who improves so much from year one to year two, which I really look for in prospects. I think when you take a jump year one to year two, especially when you're still as young as he is, only 20 years old, uh, I think that's one of the more intriguing. Um, I'm very bullish on him for sure.
Yeah, no, that's no doubt. Look, you see the advanced stats, everybody, courtesy of ShotQuality.com, and Benedict is from Arizona and shooting guard, and he's slated in the ninth spot on the big board for Tankathon as well. So the New York Knicks are currently in the ninth selection right now, Simon. So you're somewhat of a genius.
Wouldn't say that, but I'll take it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. How would you see his fit then? How would you see his fit around your RJ and complementing his game? Let's pretend Julius Randle's still on the squad.
It's interesting. I think the number one need the Knicks need is like somebody who has a quick first step that can create advantages. So, like, obviously, I think the best fit of anyone would be Jaden Ivey. It's just the issue with that is like he probably won't be there for us. But of course, with our lottery luck, I'd expect him not to be there with us. Um, and then after that, some of the other guards that like have some of that quick first step and like the potential to like play off RJ really well, I would say would be Dyson Daniels in the G League, who I don't have much stats on, but I've just been watching a bunch of his tape recently. And then Mathurin, I just feel like even though he's less of a guard, more of a wing, he's just like somebody who's going to come into the league and be a good player, no matter like what scheme he's in. So I'm very like confident in his ability to contribute like right out of the gate as an NBA player on both ends.
Yep. Okay. And his ceiling in an NBA comp.
Interesting. I would say his comp would be like, oof, this is tough. I'm trying to think. Top of my head, I'm just trying to think of like a 3 and D wing who like has more to his game. Like maybe like a worse shooting Desmond Bain. I know it's not like a crazy high ceiling, but maybe that's like his 50th percentile outcome, something around there, I would say. And Desmond Bain's been like insane this year. I don't know if you've been tracking his work. But yeah, I'd say
Mm.
somewhere like 3 and D potential like self creator. He's like 90th percentile, like highest outcome ceiling is probably like maybe like borderline all-star, just with like in terms of like his efficiency on the court. Maybe not get the votes, but just like in terms of like how positive an performance he has for the overall team and impact is like I could see being even higher than like his like necessarily like fan votes or something like that.
Yeah, no, that's great. And how high do you think the Knicks could get to? Obviously, it's depending on the lottery, but we're in ninth selection now, and if they could get up into that top four, we know the draft really evens out after the top four. But I've done a few simulations already. Probably won't get into the top four, but I did once or twice out of 10. So there's always hope, Knicks fans.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on where the lottery ends up and how many more games we lose, and who Thibodeau decides to play over the next 30 games. Like, I honestly legitimately feel I'm getting off topic here, but like, if he played guys like Deuce, Cam, um, I guess Grimes getting a lot of minutes, but I would love to see quickly get more minutes. Just like Obi, like just like play the young guys, like regardless of if we win more games, which I actually do think we would win more games with those guys playing. It's more about just like developing them. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree absolutely. Let's start with going through the list. We'll go through guards as well. And so just before that, you mentioned Dyson Daniels as well. Why is he a player we should really look at? He's with the G League Ignite, and he's Australian for anyone that doesn't know. And his game's a bit different. It's not Josh Giddey, but it's more a he's a shooting guard, but with question marks over his outside shot. But he's extremely athletic, and he has international experience already.
Yeah, I just think he's a really, really like solid player and he's very malleable in his role too, just because he's so big and such a high field player. Like he's like the polar opposite of Jaden Hardy on the Ignite team. So I think like no matter I just love players like that. Like that's why I was like in love with Halliburton out of the draft. I was in love with Desmond Bane out of the draft. Like the guys that you could just put in any scheme and are going to contribute positively are always the people that I'm always going to be more supportive. And I just feel like Dyson is that. I know the Knicks kind of need to swing for the fences, but yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, a lot of my friends are close to liking Dyson for for the Knicks as well, and a big need at point guard. Let's pull up the advanced stats. For the guards, Jaden Ivey is a standout. What are your thoughts on him and his potential fit?
I just think guards like honestly, like if I was making a big board right now of like the top players I would want, uh, let's just say for the Knicks, I think number one, uh, I think one and two are Chet and Jabari, and then three, I feel like is at this point Jaden over Palo. Like I just think like a guy like Jaden who just clearly has such a lightning quick first step, like in the half quarter and transition, like that is so valuable. Like the second he gets to the league, he'll already be probably a top four first step. Like I feel like him, De'Aaron Fox, Ja, and like maybe like Anthony Edwards. Um, so just like having that ability, and then his shot is like I think he's shooting 40% from three this year. I don't necessarily buy that he's a 40% shooter. He's probably like 34, 35. But he's somebody that I just think is like has probably some of the highest upside in the draft and would just complement RJ and the rest of the Knicks so well. But obviously, it's unlikely he gets to us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's always hope. But another big prospect that's attainable is JD Davison, Alabama. And look, his advanced stats really stand out as well. And he's achievable on the big board in terms of where the New York Knicks are situated right now.
Yeah, I think he's a good fit for the Knicks. And obviously much more attainable. I think he's a good fit because he's quick, good self creator, good passer, off the ball. The Knicks have like off the ball shooters, so I don't know if that's necessarily um, a total necessity, but you can see he's middle of the pack in terms of off the ball efficiency. But in the Alabama offense, he takes really good shots, getting to the rim a lot, and makes good passing reads as well. So yeah, I think he's somebody who would be a really, really good fit for the Knicks for sure.
Yeah, I'm high on him and some friends as well. And some numbers aren't showing out for Kennedy Chandler, but he's a name that's getting a lot of attention.
Yeah, shot quality does not like Kennedy too much, as you can see. A lot of red there. A lot of red. He's a 6 foot guard. Pretty good passer, pretty good like high field guy. It's just like right now his finishing is just like pretty weak for like. I mean, it's just hard for a 6 foot guard in the SEC to finish, and like I think taking the next step to the NBA, I don't think it'll be much better in terms of his finishing, obviously. And then off the ball, he's not really hitting his threes. His free throw percentage is pretty low. So not my favorite prospect in this draft,
Yep.
for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And the stats do show. But let's see. That's what the tournament's here for as well. And let's see. We always see every year, Simon and chat, that players' stock rises, some players' stock falls, and a lot of the intangibles show through in these competitive games, like players' heart, players' will to win, and like we touched on last time, the Cole Anthony fit wasn't a great fit for his college, but was much better fit for the NBA game as well.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. A guy like that who doesn't really fit the college game as much, but potentially could be like a better player in like more of the open court setting, I think would be somebody like Trevor Keels. He's still pretty young.
Mm.
Hasn't been too efficient at Duke. He actually had a crazy first game of the season. I remember watching it. But in terms of the open court in the NBA, I feel like he might have the potential to show a little more than he's doing currently at Duke.
Yep, absolutely. I'll just throw up a question from Danny. Is there a players that you feel like coming out right away that will make an impact immediately?
Yeah, I think there's a bunch. I think Keegan Murray, who's already 22, 6'8", one of the best wings in the draft. A lot of people are concerned about his offensive game. You can see he's like, in terms of like all the shot quality stats, he's like first and everything. People
Yeah,
are a little concerned about his offensive game adapting without uh, the elite catch and shoot game. And he's been shooting pretty well from three, but like people are a little concerned about his shot and not being able to shoot as much on the move. Uh, but I think he's going to be a switchable defender, and right out of the gate, like just makes all the right reads in terms of just like taking the right shots. Iowa's offense is so efficient too. I really like Keegan to have an impact right away. Somebody else who I think is a little slept on in this draft is Christian Braun. Baji's getting a lot of hype on Kansas,
yep,
but Braun I feel like has the potential to be a really good 3-and-D guy in the league. I think he's a for sure slept on prospect. You could see him; he's like seventh in that chart. No, sixth on that chart. 6'6" guard, 6'6" wing. Really efficient, self-created. Doesn't self-create too much because a lot of it's on transition. But off the ball, super efficient. Takes all the right shots, high level passer for a wing. So I think right out of the gate he could contribute, and that's probably like a second round guy. Like that could be a good later round guy for the Knicks.
yeah. Everything I'm hearing is that it's going to be pretty deep, late first round, early second round, like from 15 to 35. A lot of parity this time. So look out for the New York Knicks to potentially, go for a high target, and if they can't, maybe move back down. Yeah, again, ladies and gents, they have options to maneuver and and that flexible nature that they've been doing. And yeah, Keegan Murray's currently eighth on the Tankathon big board as well. Power forward, obviously not a fit for the Knicks, unless we move on from Toppin or from Randall. But just touching on some more of these wings, um, yeah, who else do you feel like will be within reach for the New York Knicks, and be a decent fit?
This is somebody who the numbers don't love too much, but I really like him. There's some really smart people on draft Twitter that I follow who are really big on him, and I'm into him. Is Justin Lewis on Marquette? He's somebody we'll get a chance to watch in the tournament most likely. Marquette looks like they'll
Mm.
make it. They're also a shot quality team, so they better make it. But he had a really bad freshman year. Like was super inefficient. Shot 20% from three. Just seemed like overwhelmed by the NBA, the college men's game in the Big East, like as a 19-year-old. Uh, but really highly touted prospect out of high school, and he just has really high upside for somebody who's probably going to end up going in the 30s, or not 30s, maybe 20s, early 20s. So he's somebody I really, really like as a swing for the fences for the Knicks. Just
Mm.
I really, really like the guys that improve a lot from year one to year two, and he's one of them who's still super young.
Yeah, no, that is, and that's like another Quickly situation. His jump from
Yes,
year one
quickly is a
to year two.
great example of that, 100%.
Yeah. Question from Wilson is, what do you think of Alondes Williams?
I really, really like him. I don't even know why he was actually excluded from that chart. That seems like a mistake. He should have been.
Mm.
I think he I think he's somebody who's like such a high feel guy who I think could come into the league and immediately have an impact. Like he is like one of those malleable guys I was talking about earlier that I just feel like would fit on so many different teams. He's probably one of the best passers in all of college basketball, and he's like a six something, like 6'7" wing. I don't know. Let me check how tall he is. So he's pretty special, and I actually think he'll I don't know where he's touted to go right now, and his age is a little bit of a concern because he is 22, but I feel like he's gonna have an impact on an NBA team and stick for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'll pull up where he's slated to go, and from Justin, thoughts on Johnny Davis?
So I'm not as bullish on Johnny Davis as everyone else is. He's obviously he's another guy who's taking a pretty huge leap from year one to year two, but most of that's really just because of usage. He he reminds me a little bit of Book Knight last year. Like obviously less of like Book Knight. Johnny Davis is a bigger name than Book Knight was last year. But not being an elite passer and needing the ball in his hands and not being super efficient with the ball in your hands just concerns me when you move to the NBA game. Uh, so I'm I'm I like him, but he's not. I think he's overvalued in the draft right now. I think a lot of people have him going like 5 to 8. And right now, if I had to make a big board, I'd say he would be somewhere for me from like 12 to 15. Obviously, my opinion might change. Maybe I'll be biased by his incredible March Madness performance. We'll see what happens. But right
Yeah,
now, I'd say he's like late lottery for me, or even a lot outside.
yep, yeah. Look, the New York Knicks have a lot of young players that they already can't find development minutes for. I don't really see them making a heap of selections, to be honest, especially if Tibbs is still here. Um, but the question is, the Pacers, the the Pacers drafted Fox, yeah, and then the last 2 years in a row, the Kings drafted Fox, and then the last 2 years in a row selected point guards in the lottery, with went best player available, regardless of fit. The top of this draft is power forward heavy. The Knicks have two power forwards already, Toppin and Randall. If the Knicks were to land in the top four in the lottery, if they get help from the ping pong gods, hopefully, um, where the Knicks have to take them, because of their upside, might exceed Randall and Toppins.
Yeah, I think at this point, there's probably only one person on the Knicks that you feel like 100% confident should be on the team 5 years from now. Um, and I think that's RJ. Uh, Obviously, there's a lot of other Knicks that I think have the upside to be an incredible contributor, like for the next 5 years and all that. But say right now, it's probably just RJ. So I think you have to go for best player available, and I would say even like guy with the highest upside. I know that's a little,
Mm.
um, it's juxtaposing what I was saying earlier with like taking someone like Mathurin, from Zona, but I'm a big believer, especially where the Knicks will be drafting, probably in the same pick they've been for the last like 30 years. That dreaded eight slot where we got Frankie and Kevin. But I think you got to take a swing, and go best player over just need because the needs are too significant. Like, what do we need? We need a quick point guard who can pass. We need a wing. We need we need pretty much everything but a power forward. We're probably going to need a power forward next
Yeah.
year because um, yeah.
Yeah. Look, there's significant, a chance that Randall will get dealt. I feel like, but there's a player in the SEC. but right now that's not getting enough attention. Is really productive. His name's Tari Easton. He looks like he could be a good fit for the Knicks next to RJ. A good motor, defender, athletic. Can defend multiple positions as well. What do you think of how his analytics, matching up?
Uh, I like him, but not my favorite guy in the draft. My one concern I have with him, he's a 6'8" wing who's like going to be switchable on defense. Uh, Significant jump in terms of shooting numbers year one to year two, which is something I do really, really like, as I've mentioned like 10 times now. He went from 24% from three to 35 and 57% from the free throw line to 77. So clearly worked really hard and improved his game. Um, the one reason I'm just not as into him is in LSU's offensive role that they have for him. I feel like he's told to do stuff it's kind of similar to the argument against Keegan Murray. Like his role is basically cutter in the offense and a lot of off-ball play, and not as much as a shot creator, as you can see there. He's only creating his own shot. Well, 60% of the time isn't that low. But yeah, especially in that offense, and he's not a great passer. I think he's late lottery for me. I think he's a similar spot for Johnny Davis. I'm not 100% like all in or out. He's just like middle for me, I feel like. But switchable wing is obviously something the Knicks need, so it's a pretty good fit, I guess.
Yeah, no doubt. And of course, TyTy as well. I'll bring the stats up. Um, yeah,
He was also
TyTy.
off that. He was not in that chart. Also, I don't know why he wasn't either. Yeah, I
Okay.
really like TyTy. I think he among the guards. For my guards, I think it's Ivy, who I think is probably like should be top three in the draft, and then I'd say if I was making a big board right now, I would probably have TyTy, um, top seven. I think his efficiency in the mid-range game and his ability to create his own shot in that area is actually like a pretty legit elite skill, I think, in today's NBA right now. I know a lot of teams are going away from mid-range, but like to have somebody like that at the end of the game who could just like create his own shots so efficiently in that area. And then I think he's going to be an elite three-point shooter. I think he's going to be elite off the dribble three-point shooter. And especially when you're taking a guard at Kentucky, you got to consider the fact that pretty much every single guard that's come out of Kentucky, uh, besides James Young and I guess Knox, if you count him as a guard, has overplayed his expectation because Calipari just, I think, like boxes a lot of players in. So I really like TyTy, and I'm really high on him. In terms of fit with the Knicks, and I'm rambling a little bit, I think he fits well because he could create his own shot at the end of the game, and he's a good passer. But he doesn't have the lightning quick first step, and I think that's something you need with someone like RJ in terms of pairing. Uh, so between him and JD, like JD has that quick first step. I would definitely take TyTy over him just because I think he's a better overall player. But in terms of fit, JD might actually fit better with the Knicks.
Yep. And there's an international prospect, um, Montero. What do you feel like? Have you seen much tape on him, and your thoughts on his game?
Do not have a good read on him yet. He's like after I've been doing a little deep dive with some of the G League guys last couple of days. He's next on my list to go. I want to go through him and Shade and Sharp soon. I just haven't done enough on G, so I don't really know honestly.
Yeah, he's with the overtime elite. Um, a 6'2", point guard as well. That fills it up. But the situation, the Knicks do have I feel like the biggest need is a point guard. There's no doubt. I know Deuce McBride's here as well, but there's no reason if the Knicks are in a good position to get, hopefully Jaden Ivey. But another guy like G Montero will be considered. Bears watching, and the Mitchell Robinson situation at centers. With a deep draft, who do you feel like could be a nice fit as a center?
In terms of centers in this draft that I like, I've kind of come around a little bit on Mark Williams. He's just been so
Mm.
efficient. and his shot blocking. I think Walker Kessler too. I think he's not showing his full bag just because that Auburn team is so good too. Like he's pretty much used exclusively as a roll man and a shot blocker. Um, so I like him. I think he could even shoot. I remember it last time we talked, like somebody in the chat room was saying how in AAU he was shooting a lot. Um,
Yep.
so I like those two guys a lot. And I think right now those are probably tops behind. Obviously, Holmgren is number one. And we didn't really talk much about Holmgren because Knicks won't get him. But he's like right now for me, I think over Jabari, like number one. I think no matter what team he goes to, he's gonna make that defense good. Like in the same way that he's not as switchable as Mobley was coming out of USC, but I feel like right when he comes out, Holmgren, he's just gonna change the defense that he's with in terms of just locking up the interior. Um,
Yep. Yeah, look, yeah, the Mitch situation, it's going to be fascinating because there's multiple teams that going to be reportedly willing to pay him the bag. So, but the Knicks have a plethora of second round picks as well, which is how we found, Jericho Sims. And yeah, a question about, yeah, you mentioned Bryce McGowens last time. Yeah, any NBA, yeah, player comp for McGowens?
oof, that's an interesting one. Trying to think of guys who came out last year because he seems like somebody who's kind of boomer bust. Especially with him being more of a self creator. If you pull up that chart, he's like one of the more efficient self. He's actually based off his self creation so far, actually been more efficient than Jabari, which is insane. Because
Mm,
Jabari is such an efficient self creator. Oh, the wing one.
yeah.
But in terms of his NBA comp, I feel like his I feel like he's kind of like the Zaire Williams of this draft too. Like he might end up just like going really, really early, like Zaire did to Memphis in the late lottery, like way earlier than like I could see a team just like falling in love with Bryce and biting on
Mm,
him early. Um, I can't think of a good NBA comp from the top of my head besides Zaire, who isn't a good comp because he just played came out last year.
mm.
But yeah,
No, no, that's all good. Yeah, yeah, like with March Madness coming up, it's going to be exciting to watch, and we appreciate all the the insight and the stats that you've given us as well. Let's talk a little bit about the tourney itself, and who are some who are your favorites and who are some dark horses.
I'd say my favorite. I think right now Gonzaga is like has to be pretty much number one overall seed and favorite to win it all. Some of the good dark horses, I think. I like Purdue a lot. They've lost a couple games recently, but they're actually they just lost that one game to Michigan. That was what I'm thinking of. But I think they're a really really special team. With Eddie, with
Mm,
Williams, with Ivy. Like the fact that I said Ivy's named third should tell the story on Purdue. I think they might end up being like a two seed in the tournament. Maybe. I mean, we'll see what happens at the end. But the resume but they are really, really special. And then the other team I really like is Arizona as well. Uh, I think between those three teams, and then I'd say Dark Horse, who I think right now is out of the top 10 in the AP pool, who I really, really like is Illinois. Let's see where that. Yeah, Illinois is 12th on the AP pool right now. And based off the quality of possessions they've got all year, they're fifth on the website. So there's somebody I think is a little underrated for sure. And it's a pretty special team.
yep. Yeah. No, that's great. And in terms of where the Knicks might end up, the ninth overall selection is where they're slated right now, which is where we mentioned Benedict Mathurin, Arizona's at. If the Knicks fall in that spot, is he your best player available? Is he the player you grab? You mentioned him first. The Knicks are going to be looking for a player that can come in and help, but also has a nice upside as well. Is he the guy you grab if you're on the clock?
I think if it depends on who's there.
Mm,
Let's say we're at, you said eight,
9, I think.
nine. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
take Mathurin over Keegan Murray and Eason, I think, at this point in time. But I would probably take TyTy over. If TyTy was there, I would take him over Mathurin, I think. Um, Not even for need purposes, just because I think TyTy is, like,
Yeah,
extremely special. Um,
he definitely is, and I would agree with that. TyTy's got to be the man if he's still there. He's slated around the 8th, 9th, 10th as well. So the Knicks, we've got a tough schedule, and I think we're going to struggle to win any more games. Might win a couple more, and some of these other teams are starting to play the young players, but looking better and better. So I think, the Knicks will probably end up around that ninth, barring in any ping pong ball blessings. um, yeah, with us. But in terms of the Knicks like scouting department and things like that, do you feel like that's a strength of the New York Knicks? I did a show last night talking about the Knicks' future, and I feel like if there's one strength the Knicks have right now, it's their drafting of late as well, and they're headed by Walt Perrin. He's running the drafts, and he's hit on a couple of selections.
Yeah, I feel like they have just accumulated so many good, I feel like they've just picked off a bunch of, like, good, scouting analysts from different teams. I forgot the guy's name from OKC they got. Um, they just have so many guys in the front office right now, like, I feel like, pushing the buttons. Uh, and I do trust the front office, like, maybe not the higher ups, but I do trust, like, the scouting department of the front office, I think, like you're mentioning. I do feel like they made some great picks in last year's draft, getting Grimes, who seems like he'll be an asset as a 3 and D player for a long time. Getting McBride, who hasn't got the playing time yet, but I do really like getting Sims at 55, um, and then getting Quickly last year. I know Quickly hasn't been getting the playing time recently, but, I totally agree. I think in terms of drafting, the front office has done a really good job. Uh, Other stuff, I don't know. It's a little hard to say how good of a job they've done. That Randall contract might come back to bite them for sure. Not making a move in this year's draft, I feel like was deplorable. Like at least like freeing a roster spot at least.
Yep. Yeah, and the unknown prospect in this draft, if there is one, is Shaden Sharp. Situation that Kentucky, where he's not eligible, but he's still around. The Knicks have Kentucky intel. There's talk that he would go, you know, could go as high as top 3 as well. There's still a chance he might be in the draft as well. What can you share on Shaden Sharp?
I actually know him and Montero are like the two guys I feel like I'm least confident in having an opinion on at this point in time. So I
Yeah,
cannot. The G League guys I'm a little more comfortable talking about, but I don't know enough about Shaden. Besides him being just like extremely athletic and recently getting his eligibility to get drafted, obviously.
yeah, yeah. No, that's great. Yeah, because the New York Knicks could be blessed with that situation if he does qualify. That remains to be seen. But yeah, the strength is the New York Knicks do have their intel. But yeah, Simon, I really appreciate your time, breaking this down for us and giving the Knicks fans the March Madness watch list as well. I mean, you heard your prospects. And yeah, let's do this again soon. After during the tournament as we get closer to the Elite Eight and the draft as well. Knicks fans, follow at Shot Quality on Twitter, and Simon doing huge things with CBS as well. Just continues to grow. A Knicks fan, and let's hope that the New York Knicks have good luck in this draft class.
Appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Yep, and everyone appreciate the love as well. Smash the like button for Knicks Buzz, and we'll see you on the next one. Salute.